start with a flea flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Gallup.
Sup, everybody. Welcome to the Week 7 recap of the Flea Flicker with Joey D and Timmy B. First things first, shout out to our man James for making some great picks over the weekend. And if you want to be like him, make sure you like this video, comment your pick, and then subscribe to the channel. If you subscribed already, thank you so much for your support. One step down, 2 more to go. Just like this video and comment your picks. But Joey D, man, how are you doing today?
Man, we're doing great, Tim. It was a great weekend of football, at least for me personally. All 4 of my fantasy teams won. That hasn't happened yet this year. The Eagles won. You know, that hasn't happened very often this year. I did really well on my picks. If the Gamecocks had won too, it would have been absolutely perfect. But, you know, it was a great weekend. You know, we're starting the week off right.
Absolutely. Same here. I won a bunch of my fantasy leagues. Didn't win them all, but I won a good amount. The important ones I won. Gamecocks, we could have pulled it out. And then the Ravens were on bye. We traded for Yannick Ngakoue. So, or Ngakoue. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Yannick, say hello in the comments. But it was a great week. We got a great matchup this weekend. We're going to take down the last undefeated team, but more on that on Saturday, Joe. Let's just hop in to the first game that we talked about in the Battle of Ohio. This year's winner is the Cleveland Browns as they went to Cincinnati. They lost Odell Beckham Jr. to a torn ACL. Baker Mayfield came back. Donovan Peoples-Jones, rookie out of Michigan, caught the game-winning touchdown with about 10 seconds left. Browns win 37-34. Joe, your thoughts from this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. I mean, Baker started out like 0 for 5 with the interception and the Odell injury, and then was just on fire after that. I want to say like 22 of 23. With the only incompletion being a spike. So, I mean, he was on fire. And then, what was it, 5 touchdowns he threw?
I believe it was 4 or 5, not 4? Quite sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just spreading the ball around. Harrison Bryant got some work with the Austin Hooper injury. He looks like he's going to be good. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones just stepping up at the very end of the game with that huge catch. I mean, it was just big-time play by everybody. Without Nick Chubb, without Odell, the rest of the team stepping up and doing their jobs. There's some people kind of making the argument that without Odell there now, Baker doesn't feel like he has to force the ball to him and spreading the ball around. I guess we'll have to see how the season progresses without him, but there is an argument to be made there. On the other side, Joe Burrow looked really good once again. Yeah. I mean, he took the lead of that game, I think – with close to, if not under 2 minutes left in the game. And then Baker just drove down. And like we said, Peoples-Jones with a phenomenal catch at the end of the game. Exciting matchup, definitely something to look forward to 2 times a year. I think that'll be a really fun matchup moving forward, Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield. Great game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Joe Burrow did great, and we've been saying this almost every episode. We got to give him an offensive line. He has the weapons with T. Higgins, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. He wasn't playing, but Gio Bernard. So he has the weapons. We just need to get him some protection. On the Cleveland Browns side, losing Odell hurts, but they have so much talent with Landry, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, now Donovan Peoples-Jones, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb when he gets back. So there is talent on that team. The Browns have the Raiders on this week, so I think they're pretty even. So we'll see if the Browns, are taking that next step and are a legit contender for, a playoff spot and to make a deep playoff run, or if they still need a few more pieces. So we'll see. Then next up, we're talking about, Joe, the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons do it again, this time giving up a touchdown as time expired. Todd Gurley attempted to fall down, but the ball crossed the plane, or at least touched the plane. So they gave him the touchdown to go up 6. So you think a defense could, at least stop the Lions, but Matt Stafford, Kenny Golladay connected on that last on the last few drives to put the Lions ahead. Lions win 23-22. Joe, your thoughts from the Falcons blowing another game where they had a high 90s win percentage, and thoughts on the Lions coming back and staying in the game?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, shout out Matt Stafford. I mean, just the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. He has so many career fourth-quarter comebacks. He's got all the arm talent in the world, and now he's got, a couple receivers making plays for him since Calvin Johnson, which is really nice. I mean, Kenny Golladay had 6 catches, I think 119 yards. Every single one of them was a spectacular catch, just a, number 1 wide receiver catch, what you want to see. he's just really exploded recently, and Matt Stafford is, really using him to, the best of his abilities. So I think it was a lot of, very heads up play on the Lions' part to let the Falcons score so they could get the ball back with more time. And then, just a phenomenal drive by Matt Stafford at the very end with those two big plays, Kenny Golladay and then TJ Hawkinson, who also had a pretty good game as well. So, a lot of exciting things to see in Detroit. And this is why I felt like, they are an average team, because that's what Matt Stafford gives you any given Sunday. I mean, he's got that potential. And when he's got receivers like Kenny Golladay making those plays, I mean, they can put up some points. Now, they've got a lot of other areas they need to focus on. But, when the Falcons are, content to blow the lead again, Lions are going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to James for picking the Lions. Joe, you and I went the Falcons. We felt good. The Falcons still have, some great pieces. They're still putting up 20 or more points per game, but that defense does need a lot of work. So we'll see if they can tighten it up to get a couple of wins here and there. So that means we're all 2-1 now after James picked the Giants. So we're all 2-1. All right, now we got some lights turned on, where some lights were turned off intentionally by the NFL and the Ravens Super Bowl and the New Orleans Superdome. We're going to New Orleans next. So we got the Carolina Panthers almost kicking the longest field goal. Joey Sly, a 65-yarder, fell just short. Saints win 27-24. There was a lot of things going on. This was a great game. We'll see the Panthers on Thursday night against the Falcons. But, Joe, your thoughts from Panthers Saints, and were you rooting for that field goal to just make it over?
I mean, I think we picked the Saints, and we thought that that it was going to be a close game with the Panthers, that they were going to, be right there throughout the game. Because, I mean, they're a little bit closer than people anticipated. And without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, we weren't sure which receiver was going to step up for the Saints. And it was Marquez Callaway, I believe, undrafted wide receiver. Had a really big game, made a lot of plays down the field, and they scored a touchdown as well. I mean, Saints were able to, move the ball in this Panthers defense, and Drew Brees was able to make the plays when he needed to. Mike Davis did not have a good game for Carolina. They weren't really able to get a run game going. And, I mean, Saints are just a veteran team, and that would have been a fantastic field goal by Joey Sly. It would have been really cool to see him make it. But, yeah, unfortunately, just fell short.
Yeah, and it's even crazy, too. It was right down the middle. I mean, normally when you see 65-yard field goals or around there, you see it, being accurate and just short like this one, or you see it have the distance but not accurate. And it almost doinked the crossbar. That's how close it was. So, yeah, and we all picked the Saints. This is going to be a good game. For the over, we just fell short by half a point. If that field goal went in, the over would have hit. So not bitter about that, except I bet on it. So a little bitter, but no worries. Saints win this one pretty easily. I like what I saw from the Panthers still with Mike Davis and without Christian McCaffrey, who's now activated and practicing again, slowly but surely. So that's going to be a good 1-2 punch once Christian's back at full health. The only big thing I didn't like was Teddy Bridgewater did take that sack to make it, instead of a 58, 59-yard field goal to the 65-yard field goal. You just can't do that in that situation. But, when somebody's bringing the house and you can't really move or you can't throw the ball, settles that. Speaking of field goals, Joe, Buffalo Bills kicked a lot of them. In fact, they kicked They kicked 8 of them. They made 6 of them. 18-10 victory over the New York Jets. The New York Jets probably going 0-16. I mean, if you looked at the rest of their schedule, it's not pretty. But, Joe, this is the 3rd week in a row the Bills' offense hasn't looked good. What's up in Buffalo?
Man, I mean, I would definitely be concerned. I mean, Cole Beasley had a huge game. He's the one kind of stepping up without John Brown. I think we mentioned it the other week. I really think John Brown is just, a little bit more of an important piece to this offense than we've really given him credit for. Their run game still has gotten going. I mean, Zach Moss, I believe, got more yards than Devin Singletary on the same amount of touches. He might end up getting, a little bit more of a share, see if he can make a little bit more plays. But, I mean, neither of them really had that great of a game. I don't think either of them got over 50 yards. They got to be better in the red zone. Those field goals are not going to cut it against other teams that are good. and able to score points. Fortunately for the Bills, they were playing the Jets, so they really got lucky there. But, yeah, I mean, if you're down there in the red zone and only kicking field goals, you're not going to win games against the teams that, you're hoping to compete against in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need to get the passing game back on board. I mean, they got Stephon Diggs for a reason. And, with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley, even, Tyler Kroft, they have the weapons offensively, and Josh Allen is a good quarterback. So I don't know what's up. Offensive line needs a little bit of work. They need to get that run game going so they can open up the play action and can give Josh Allen more room to, scramble around and get some positive yards rushing like he has in the first couple of weeks. So some things need to change with Buffalo. I believe they have a bye after this week against the Patriots, but it'll be a tough defensive matchup with Josh Allen going up against Stephon Gilmore and Bill Belichick. We'll talk about that on Saturday. I got nothing on the Jets. I mean, they're going 0-16 likely. So as long as Adam Gase is the coach, I'm not going to talk about them too much. Now moving on to – all right, Joe, now we're moving on to a team that's probably just as bad as the Jets with the Dallas Cowboys losing to the Washington football team 25-3. The football team finally got their rookie Antonio Gibson running over 100 yards. First time they had a 60-plus yard rusher in a game this season. The defense is so bad for the Dallas Cowboys. In fact, they were so bad they traded away Everson Griffin today to make that defense even worse. But, Joe, talk to us about the football team winning. Andy Dalton got concussed. We'll see if he'll be playing this week or next week. But Cowboys suck. But talk to us about the football team beating the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, that Cowboys defense right now is one of the worst defenses of all time in the NFL. I mean, statistically, like it is. They're right now they're a get right team for opposing offenses. So, love to see Kyle Allen connecting with Terry McLaurin deep right after him and Trayvon Diggs were getting into it. Both Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson having big games. I think that's a real big step in the right direction in terms of getting him going and getting that run game going. So, I mean, good things to see on the Washington side of things, especially on offense. But, I mean, on defense, I'm just not sure how bad the Cowboys' offensive situation is without Dak, or if, this was like a really bad matchup for him. I don't think it should have been in the secondary, but I don't think that Dalton really had much time to throw. Took a terrible safety. And then, like you said, it was a real cheap shot from John Bostic, concussing him and knocking him out. So we'll see what's up with DiNucci, but things not looking good in Dallas. I think they're hoping the Jets win a few games and maybe they can luck out and somehow end up with Trevor Lawrence, not have to pay Dak.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about it on Saturday, is that the Cowboys' offensive line is very, very injured. So, yes, they do have all these great weapons with Zeke, Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. But if you don't give your quarterback time, or you don't give Zeke any holes to run, you're not going to be moving the football. You're not going to be scoring points. So hopefully the Cowboys can get a couple of those guys back from injury, or at least, figure out something. But that defense is so bad. But credit to the football team as well. You nailed it. Terry McLaurin had some great catches, some big stats. Antonio Gibson got the ball rolling. Kyle Allen looks great. And shout out to Ron Rivera for having his final treatment of cancer the other day. So big shout out to him. Best of luck for his continued health and continued success. And now we're moving to a little bit of a better game, kind of, with the Green Bay Packers. Davante Adams, scoring a bunch of touchdowns in Houston. Packers win this game 35-20. We said a lot of points would be scoring. A lot of points were scored, but mainly by the Packers and then by the Texans in garbage time. Joe, what did you see from Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in the Green Bay offense bouncing back after an abysmal week against Tampa Bay's defense in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they needed to see and needed to have happen. Like you said, last week, just terrible on the offensive side against a good defense. This is another very bad defense outside of J.J. Watt and a couple of linebackers and Justin Reed. They don't really have anyone. There's that secondary. There was nobody that could cover Davante Adams all day. And with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and a receiver like Davante Adams, he's going to take that every single time, and it worked. I mean, God, the man had almost 200 yards. What? How many catches? Like 20?
Yeah, a lot.
It was ridiculous. So I mean, this is exactly what the Packers needed to have happen. Like you said, Texans in garbage time were able to put up 20, but Packers defense was shutting them out, playing, real good defense all day until they kind of took their foot off the gas on the defensive side of the ball to play a little bit more prevent. But, yeah, I mean, exactly what you want to see at Green Bay.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Green Bay already had their bye, so they really need to get the ball rolling and carry the momentum. Sup, everybody. It's Timmy B here to give you hit number 3 for my Halloween challenge. In my Pokemon Leaf Green Let's Play, I just got Aerodactyl to the team, but he needs a name. The first one to correctly guess my Halloween costume gets to name Aerodactyl. Hit number 1 came in that video, hit number 2 came in the video yesterday in my top 10 list, and your hit number 3 is coming now. Hit number 3 is Captain. That's right, Captain. Happy guessing. All right, Joe, now we're moving to one of the games of the day with the 2 undefeated teams. Luckily, they didn't tie, so one of them is still undefeated, and that team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, winning 27-24. Steven Gostkowski missed a field goal at the end of the fourth quarter to send it to overtime. The Steelers, went up big in the first half, only scored 3 in the second half, and allowed the Titans to come back with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. But, Joe, give me your thoughts from the Steelers and the Titans game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we expected this to be a little bit more of a back-and-forth game rather than the way it played out. I mean, Deontay Johnson had a really good game for the Steelers, making a lot of plays with the ball in his hands, really not a lot of deep plays, but, he would get the ball, turn up field and score. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns, just like I said, a lot of plays with the ball in his hands. James Conner was getting going in the first half, making a lot of plays. But like you said, they really took their foots off the gas in the second half. And, Titans got, real lucky with the way they were able to come back. I mean, 73-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. I think the Steelers ended up having 3 turnovers in that game. Mike Tomlin said it after the game, like when you lose the turnover battle and you allow a 73-yard touchdown, typically you don't win that game. And I mean, if Gostkowski hits that field goal and they go to overtime, who knows what happens. So they definitely had a lot of things go their way in this game that helped them win, but they also did a lot of things, the right way in the first half that put them in that position to win. And then they found a way to close it out at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nailed it perfectly. I'll save my take on the undefeated Steelers in our Saturday episode just because they do play my Ravens on Sunday, and I don't want to eat my words, but this is not an undefeated football team. I'll stand by that still. Of course, they are undefeated, but they're just beating the people on their schedule, and they're beating the people that they're supposed to beat because they're a little bit worse. The Titans are so a good football team. I wouldn't worry if I was Tennessee. You guys are going to bounce back. You guys will still make the playoffs, probably even win your division. So no need to worry there. I'm very excited to see where these 2 teams go, especially how the Titans bounce back after a loss like this, especially at home this upcoming week or whenever their next game is. If they have a bye this week, I have no idea. Nope, they already had their bye, so they definitely have a game this week. So we'll see how the Titans bounce back this week. We'll see how the Steelers do against the Ravens. We'll talk about that on Saturday. And that wraps up the 1 o'clock slate, Joe. Joe, you're 7-1, man. You're pretty hot. Your only loss was the Falcons. I went 5-3 in the 1 o'clock slate, or overall after the 1 o'clock slate. And our boy James at 6-2. So we're all winning. But Joey D, man, you only got 1 loss so far. Let's see if we can keep that rolling. First 4 o'clock game was a lot of fun. That third quarter was unbelievable, the third and fourth quarter. Jacksonville Jaguars still only have 1 win as the Los Angeles Chargers win 39-29. This was a back-and-forth game in that second half. Justin Herbert was throwing the ball crazy. We saw why he was the number 6 overall pick this year. And I really like what I'm seeing from this Chargers offense with Justin Herbert. And, James Robinson had a great day yet again. Minshew didn't get benched for Mike Glennon. So we'll see how the Jaguars go. But, Joe, your thoughts from Jags-Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert just looks so legit and just looks like, one of the really good quarterbacks to come out of this draft along with Joe Burrow. And, I mean, right now, I'm just riding Justin Herbert, and I'm confident in him, just all in on that train right now. I mean, like I said, who's this Guyton guy? He's got 3 or 4 catches, but they're all 70-yard touchdowns. it's unreal. Like every time he's in the game, like you got to expect it, but he's hitting it perfectly in stride. They've got some good chemistry on the deep route. I mean, he's making plays with his feet. I mean, just doing what he had to do to win this game. I mean, and got his first win. I did like what I saw out of Gardner Minshew and James Robinson as well. Minshew just dropping some dimes in there as well to who is it? Chris Conley, I believe, who caught the touchdown.
Chris Conley, yeah.
Just perfect pass back in the end zone. I mean, just big play when he needed it. And, Jacksonville had an opportunity to win this game. Their defense, I mean, maybe if they didn't trade away everybody, they would have some players and, they could make some more plays. Saxonville, but nah, they don't have anybody back there except for Josh Allen and C.J. Henderson. So, maybe Miles Jack. But, yeah, right now your 1-15 prediction looking good.
Hey, we're still riding strong with the 1-15 prediction. And for the Chargers, I like you said, and like I said, I like what I see with Justin Herbert. This could be a potential, if they win a couple of games, get the momentum, they could definitely sneak into this 6-7 seed in the AFC and maybe even pull off an upset, kind of like the Titans last year, kind of hopping in, getting hot at the right time. So I can definitely see that from a Chargers team. And I'm excited to see rematch number 2 of Herbert and Mahomes later in the season once Herbert is the starter, not 2 seconds before kickoff, and has a full week to prepare. That'll be a lot of fun. We all picked the Chargers. Obviously, that was pretty easy to pick. And now, speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs in the snow game in Denver, Mahomes kind of the last couple of weeks hasn't been looking like Mahomes, since that loss to the Raiders. But defensive touchdown with the pick six, kick return touchdown. Mahomes did just enough to keep moving the ball. They were running the ball well. Le'Veon Bell looked good in his couple of touches, and they dominate Denver 43-16. Joe, your thoughts from a snowy Denver?
Yeah, I mean, that defense for Denver, they just could not stop the run at all. I mean, they did some things that prevented Mahomes from, connecting on those deep shots and making all those big plays that we're used to seeing from him. But their offense just could not get going. Drew Lock turning the ball over a couple times. Phillip Lindsay going out with a concussion. It was, a couple different things that just did not go the Broncos' way. But I did like how they were able to, slow Mahomes down. It's just when you go all out to slowing Mahomes down and you still have so many options on offense, other ways to move the ball with Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then you add defensive scores on top of that, that you're not going to win a football game that way. I mean, you have to do so much to stop Mahomes. It creates so many other holes, and the Chiefs are just so well equipped to exploit those holes and take advantage of them. As a Chiefs fan, I'm all right with this. I mean, we're winning games without Mahomes balling out. I know he can ball out when we need him to. This is fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And my big takeaway from this was the Chiefs' offensive line. I believe Bradley Chubb had 2.5 or 3 sacks, and he was unblocked on all of them. He just ran right into Mahomes. So if I see Bradley Chubb on the line, which he lines up most of the time, if I'm the quarterback or, the center or whatever, I'm saying, block that guy because he's the biggest threat. So I'm very excited to see this defensive line with Chubb and Von Miller next year, and especially in Vic Fangio's defense. And the Broncos were in it for a little bit, but then, as you said, Drew Lock was turning the ball over. And then, it just piled up and it was too much to handle for the Broncos. But credit to the Chiefs again for winning in new ways. It's not always going to be Mahomes throwing for 900 yards and 12 touchdowns. It's not always going to be the running game. Sometimes it's defense and special teams, and that's why the Chiefs are the best team in the league. And now, Joe, the team that beat the Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders, hosted Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, this offense is clicking now, but they win 45-20. They beat the Raiders pretty easily. Joe, we'll just kick it off with you first. What were your thoughts from this Bucs-Raiders game?
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady spreading the ball around to a couple different people again. I mean, Scotty Miller had a big game this week.
Ooh, yeah.
Mike Evans didn't really need to do that much. Chris Godwin, now he's got another injury, I guess foot injury now, or something like that. So he's at least going to be out for this week. I mean, still finding different receivers to make plays. The rookie out of Minnesota, I believe Tyler Johnson, continuing to make plays for him. Rob Gronkowski is starting to get hot. And I mean, the run game is still producing. So, we've said it before, this Bucs defense is extremely underrated. Levante David, extremely slept on. Everyone's making plays for him. Raiders just were never able to get on track on either side of the ball. Josh Jacobs was not able to get going. Nelson Aguilar, starting to do a couple more Nelson Aguilar things. I saw a couple drops back to back. So, I don't like to see it. You did great things for the city of Philadelphia the year we won the Super Bowl. But it does, kind of crack me up that, he's starting out so great, all these great touchdowns. I think he's got like 4 touchdowns and he had 3 all of last year. And in Philadelphia, like, oh my God, why can't he do this in Philly? And now, like, he has those drops like, that's why we let him go. Like,
but he did have a nice touchdown on Sunday. He still had a nice touchdown.
He did have another nice touchdown, but yeah, I mean, it didn't help him win though.
Yeah, and it's a shame that the Vikings had a bye, so we couldn't talk about Justin Jefferson. But we can we'll get to DK Metcalf in a couple of games. But Joe, any final thoughts from Bucs Raiders on your end?
Bucs still look really good. I mean, right now, Super Bowl is their only goal. I mean, they're all in right now. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think it'd be really cool for them to host the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool as well. And I think it's going to be a fun NFC playoffs because we'll talk about this in a couple of games. NFC West could have all 4 teams. The NFC South could have a couple of teams. The Packers, whoever wins the East at 6-10. So it'll be a fun
9-1.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a very fun NFC playoffs. And speaking of the NFC playoffs and the Super Bowl, the team that represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year, the San Francisco 49ers, go all the way to New England and just downright dominate, run all over the New England Patriots, force a bunch of turnovers. Cam Newton got benched, like 90 yards, 3 interceptions. 49ers win 33-6. Joe, there's a couple of questions, but my big thing is, are the Patriots, this bad, or are they just having a bad couple of games?
And that's my question too. I mean, I picked the Patriots to win this game because I really didn't think that Bill Belichick would let them fall to – they're 2-4 now?
Yeah, they are 2-4.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be one of the worst starts in Bill Belichick's tenure. I mean, it definitely does not look good, especially at the year that they let Brady go. Now he's in Tampa Bay lighting it up. So, I mean – I'm definitely concerned now because I think that this was a game that they should have been able to win, should have been able to put up some points, and should have been able to slow down that offense. I mean, it was all 3 phases and coaching. Like, they just got dominated on every level. So, Jimmy G, he feels great. Team that traded him away, he goes in there and he just puts a beat down on him. Brandon Ayuk continuing to make plays for them. Love to see another rookie wide receiver balling out on another team. But, I mean, the Niners just continuing to run the ball successfully. Unfortunately, another injury to their running back core with Jeff Wilson going down with a nasty-looking knee injury. So I think it's LaMichael Hasty time in San Francisco. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's going to scheme up some good runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we saw in that Dolphins game with the 49ers when they got blown out that Jimmy G was not 100%. And I don't want to say they rushed him, but maybe they should have given him another week off because now he looks healthy. And now with Kittle, Deebo Samuel's out for another couple of weeks now. But the 49ers look to be kind of back on pace for being a dominant team in the NFC. And for the Patriots, they got to pick it up soon. 2 of their next 3 games are against the Bills and the Ravens. So they got to figure it out quickly or else they could be, 2-5, 2-6, 2-7, 3-6. So they could easily be out of the playoff picture by Thanksgiving, which we definitely don't want to see. I always enjoy seeing what Belichick can do late in December in the playoffs. So very interesting to see what the Patriots do there. Joe, that you were at 10-1 before this game. Now you're at 10-2 because you said you picked the Patriots. James and I went with the 49ers. So after the day games, you're 10-2. I'm 9-3, and sadly, the 9-5 curse has been broken. James got his 10th win, so congratulations to James. That was his 10th win, so the 9-5 curse has been broken. Well done. And now we're moving to the night game, Joe.
Yes.
Sunday Night Football. Great game. Arizona Cardinals beat the Seattle Seahawks 37-34 in overtime. Cardinals probably should have won in regulation, but DK Metcalf ran 90 yards plus to go tackle Budda Baker on a would-be pick six to at least prevent the game. Cardinals miss a field goal in overtime, probably should have lost, but Russell Wilson had a bad second half, a bad fourth quarter, throwing a couple of picks, which he doesn't do in Arizona. Now, granted, he's still cooked because Tyler Lockett had like 55 catches and 400 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals squeaked this out. Joe, your thoughts from Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Russell Wilson, just an uncharacteristically bad game. I mean, they still managed to put up a good amount of points, but, you know, a lot of those turnovers are just bad. I mean, you know, the one to Budda Baker, I don't know what he was doing there. I know they were trying to go quick and they thought they had someone, you know, wide open, and they did, but he just like kind of lobbed it to him and, you know, put so much air under it to let Budda Baker, you know, make that play. I mean, extremely athletic play by DK Metcalf. I mean, my God, like just hustling almost 100 yards, preventing a touchdown, and then they go for it on fourth down and they don't get it. I mean, he literally saved 7 points. So this could have been a worse loss for Seattle. You know, really impressed by Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk having another really good game, DeAndre Hopkins making some plays. You know, Kenyon Drake going out, but Chase Edmonds stepping up in his absence. So, you know, a lot of good things to see from this game for the Cardinals. I mean, it was a bad game by Russell Wilson. I'm really surprised. I just don't think that that's going to be the norm. I think that he's going to bounce back fine. Interesting stat, Isaiah Simmons only played 5 snaps in that game, and one of them was the game-winning interception in overtime.
Yeah, and that's weird because they took him. They took him what, 7th, 8th overall?
Yeah, top 10 pick, and Chandler Jones is out.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too, because on that interception, I don't know who Russ was throwing to because there were no receivers there. So either way, the Cardinals were going to get the ball back. I believe it was 3rd down. So, but you know, there's a difference of trying to go 60 yards for a field goal versus 10. So credit to the Seahawks, or the Cardinals, excuse me, for winning this game, knocking off the Seahawks of being undefeated. But Joe, the NFC West is the opposite of the NFC East. I mean, I believe every team has a winning record. Every team could easily make the playoffs, and we'll see kind of November, December, how they kind of beat up on each other. You know, we're seeing that in the NFC.
And the Cardinals are 2-0 in the division since they beat the 49ers week 1, and now they've beaten the Seahawks.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to be excited to see that. The Seahawks will definitely bounce back. I won't be too worried if you're a Seahawks fan. Russ is still going to cook. He just needs to, you know, turn the bolts. But, you know, everybody's human. We've seen Mahomes had bad games. We've seen Aaron Rodgers have bad games, and Lamar Jackson have bad games this season. So Russ will be fine. Nobody's perfect. So we're moving on to Monday Night Football. Joe, I don't know how much of this game you saw. I had it on my background the entire game, but the Rams win 24-10. That was pretty much it. It was like just a classic 24-10 game. You know, the Bears struggled to move the ball. Nick Foles threw a couple of picks. Felt like every time I was watching, the Rams got an interception. So it was, you know, just one of those classic 24-10 football games. Nothing too crazy, not too many big plays. It was just, you know, drive down and, you know, get stopped and punt or you score. But your thoughts from the Bears-Rams Monday night game?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams were able to move the ball against this defense, which a lot of people were concerned about since, I mean, this defense is so great. But, I mean, yeah, they got the run game going. Malcolm Brown had a really good game. Darrell Henderson was making some plays. I mean, down there in the red zone, the Bears have been statistically the best red zone defense in the NFL this season. And the Rams came out just quick and immediately snapped the ball. And, you know, just had, I think it was Josh Reynolds wide open.
Yeah, wide open.
He had a really good game. And, you know, on the flip side, Nick Foles did not have a good game. Nobody on the Bears really stepped up. Allen Robinson had one, you know, big play down in the fourth quarter. But, yeah, I mean, the rest of the team just wasn't able to make those plays. I mean, you know, I love Nick Foles. I want to keep rooting for him. But, you know, unfortunately, this has kind of been a theme throughout his career. You know, I don't want to say this to be like the salty Eagles fan, be like, I told you so, but, you know, this is kind of been a theme, you know, when he's the long-term starter and, you know, teams are preparing for him. And, he's not coming out cold with zero expectations on him. I mean, it looks like a different quarterback. So, hopefully they get the good Nick Foles back. Maybe when everyone counts out the Bears again, everyone starts picking against him. Maybe that's when he shows up. But right now, he just doesn't look like he's going to be able to lead the Bears to, getting many points. So that defense is going to have to probably hold the team to under 10 points in order for them to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just nailed it. I think that defense is good enough to carry Nick Foles in the offense, but we need to see more, and it's getting harder and harder to root for the Bears, pick the Bears, and to root for Nick Foles. And, they are 5-2, so I'm not saying that, they're not a bad team, but, I would need to see them, take down an Aaron Rodgers or take down, somebody that's not Tom Brady on a short week. I need to see the Bears play a couple of better teams. I mean, they lost the Colts at home, but then they barely beat the Buccaneers. So I do need to see a little bit more from the Bears. And for the Rams, they're doing their thing, a little tweaks here and there, and they'll definitely get better. I believe they have the Seahawks in their next matchup after the bye. So that'll be fun, or whenever they play next. I should really start looking at everybody's bye schedule now because we're in it. But that wraps up week 7 of the NFL season. Joe, you won this week. You went 11-3. James and I both went 10-4, so we both had another double-digit win week for all of us. So congratulations to James for having the best record as a guest right now. Joe, any final thoughts from week 7 of the NFL season?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to James once again. I've grown up as one of my best friends since middle school, and he's always been one of the top football IQ people that I know. Always one of the people I go to talk about football, and to come out here when we go head to head, and me to be able to defeat him like that. I'm sorry, James. I hate to do it to you, but I guess the apprentice has overtaken the master. Our head to head fantasy games, they tend to go my way as well. So shout out, James. Love you, buddy. Glad you were on it. But fun week. Glad I did well.
Absolutely, and James will definitely have to get you back on the show for some more picks. And now, Joe, let's move to the Week 8 Thursday night football game. I'm very excited for this game. We got the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers, and by no means is this going to be 5-0 over 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. These are just two teams that are just kind of, I would say, pretty average, but they have talent on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Panthers are currently a 2.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 49. So, Joe, give us your thoughts of Thursday night football, and who's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this is a good matchup. I mean, it's a divisional game, so I think it should be close, especially since both of these teams are, definitely the bottom two teams in the division. I think that's safe to say that, they're both, I mean, statistically they are, and, the eye test, proves as well. Do we know if McCaffrey is playing? I know he's been activated from the IR and he's practicing. I'd be surprised if they play him.
I would be surprised too. They
especially
might
against the Falcons.
Yeah, they might play him and maybe have him be like a decoy on the field, but I wouldn't expect him to get the full 20-plus touches in the passing game and running game. But especially on a short week, if this game was on Sunday, maybe. But I guess we'll just continue to check the news and see. But let's just assume he's not playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to get Mike Davis going again. I think he should be able to make some plays against this Falcons defense. He had a really bad week in the run game this week. I want to say it was 6 rushes, 12 yards, 2 yards per carry. That's just not going to get it done. And I mean, they got to be able to run the ball and keep the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands, keep him from getting the ball down the field to Julio, Ridley, Hayden Hurst, all these guys that are making plays. But they also got to be able to stop the run, Todd Gurley. So I think I'm going to go with the Panthers for this game. I think it's going to be a close game, but right now I like what the Panthers are doing. I like what Matt Rule is bringing to the table and the energy that they have. I don't think that they've necessarily given up on their season yet. I think the Falcons have. And also since it's at home for Carolina, I'm going to go with the Panthers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of having a 7th team in the playoffs is we're going to see a couple more teams like the Panthers who are just kind of chilling around 500, and then come Thanksgiving in December, really still go in and still try to win to get that 7 seed, being in the hunt. And you just nailed everything. You're at home. It's Thursday night football. We all know the Falcons issues, we'll say, defensively and blowing some leads. So I'm going with the Panthers as well. You know, even without Christian McCaffrey, Mike Davis is still doing good despite his poor stats the other day. They're still keeping him active in the pass game with a bunch of screens. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is really going to take advantage of this Atlanta defense. I think one of the keys was he was the backup in New Orleans the last couple of seasons. So he has been practicing, you know, against the Falcons a couple of times a year. So he's familiar with that defense. So I think he'll really pick apart that with DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel if he plays as well. So I'm going with the Panthers. Hopefully they win. Hopefully this is a fun uniform game too. Hopefully they go with the all like neon blue or teal blue, whatever.
What do you think about the Falcons gradient uniforms?
I don't like them. See, my thing
really
is it's
either.
like whenever somebody's like, we're going to do new uniforms, and people are like, why don't we go back to the old days and do retro? And the teams are like, gradient, and everybody's like, no, like,
yeah, it's terrible. God, that's all I want. I want the Kelly Green back for Philly. Like, let me get that as our color rush game. Like, it's not that hard. Like, God, it makes me so mad. I need it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been more interested in the game last week if I was watching some Kelly Green, although the All Blacks were nice.
Yeah.
And I do like the Falcons when they go like with their all black at home or the all white on the road. I think those do look pretty fresh and pretty clean, but the gradients are just not for me.
Me neither.
But anyways, that's the Thursday night game, and those are our Thursday night Week 8 picks. That was our Week 7 recap. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Flea Flicker with Joey D and Timmy B. We need a guest for Saturday for our Halloween episode. Joe might be in a costume. I don't know. So because of that, you know, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment your pick or just comment literally whatever you want. You can also guess my Halloween costume for my hint earlier in the episode. So until then, guys, we will see you on Saturday, and have a great day.